Snaf lay, embedded in the deepest layers of the dragon's mind, choking off breath and pulse. The dragon could not find him here, could not root him out. It could not even right itself. But its minions found Snaf elsewhere. There came a crash, stone shattering, and the rumble of claws. Claws dug, and jaws gibbered. Snaf opened his eyes. Big Snaf had toppled and shattered, and the monsters were on him. Fangs snapped, muzzles bled. Hungry, angry, insatiable. Teeth clamped on Snaf. They bit through him. There was blunt pain and the sudden certainty that he was dying. More teeth seized him. Bones broke. Breath burst through his wounds. Blood foamed out. Fangs met in his stomach. Part 111, as we are here at a huge milestone. By the end of this video, Tyrix will be within the ruined city of Ara, beyond the walls. So, things will really be heating up here. Currently, we're at the bottom of the Azabe Kabar catacombs and about to make a pretty big decision. Well, a couple, actually. I wanted to catch you guys up with a bit of Tyrix stuff. So, we know Warrior very well at this point. However, there's actually 2 specializations we haven't looked at all. So, let's pick up a new one here. Let's go with arms. So, according to how I've described the classes already with you guys, you kind of get 2 DPSE damage-oriented lines. One's often to do with condition damage, one's to do with power, one's often kind of crit chance, and the other's not quite so much. Well, we've been looking at strength, which is one of the warrior's damagey ones. The other kind of damagey one, if we think about it in those terms, would be arms, and we've never seen this. So let's quickly roll through. First of all, our burst skills give us fury now, which is nice because we want to crit on our burst skills like eviscerate and stuff. Next, we get extra condition damage while we have fury, which is okay. It will buff our longbow a little bit, you know, our char fiery themed longbow. It reminds me of being a stalker casting and ignite arrows and stuff. So that will help our burning on the bow hit a bit harder. And finally, we get bloodlust, which is we have a chance to inflict bleeding whenever we crit, and our bleeds last longer. So we increase our crit chance by using bursts. Our fury also gives us more crit damage, our condition damage, and now we've got bleeds rolling out as well. Kind of similar to the miners on necromancer's curses, I'd say, in a lot of ways. Looking at the mages, first of all, for adepts, let's pick up this. So signets, and this is kind of what I want to run with. We saw quite recently out in the open world another warrior doing a similar thing. Let's say we're inspired by that. So signets gain reduced recharge, grant stacking ferocity on use. And also, when we hit someone who's low on health, we cast for free Lesser Signet of Might against them, which means we get that ferocity boost, but also makes us unblockable. So, these knights, you know, that shield up and turtle up and start blocking like mad, well, we'll just, for free, kind of break through that as long as we get them below half health. So that's pretty nice, and we'll just stack up with Signets here, okay? Just for the funsies of it. This is a very PvE thing to do. I don't think it would be right to play a warrior this long and not go in all signet builds with arms. So, yeah, that's what we'll go with. Also, let's just keep buffing up our other stuff here. So, let's take Sundering Burst. Our burst skills now inflict vulnerability and additional vulnerability if the burst skill crits, which it's likely to, right? Because, looking at our Grand Master, we can pick up Burst Precision here. That our burst skills are guaranteed to crit. So, that kind of overlaps a bit with the Fury here, but the Fury's giving us other benefits when we're on arms. So, we can run kind of this burst build where our eviscerates now will always critically hit, and it will always hit really hard. If we've just popped a ton of signets off the back of that, we have really heavy crit damage, and that can be really nice. So, that's one idea. I actually don't want to run that right now. What we're going to take instead is dual wielding, which to me, this is like a beautiful trait in terms of being a Grandmaster. It's such a clear idea, such a flavorful idea, such a simple premise that can, depending on how it's tuned, be super good. So anyway, dual wielding, just our attack speed is increased for as long as we're wielding a main hand weapon in our offhand. So we currently don't get that perk because we have a shield on. However, if I take my axe, which is the main hand weapon, and put it in the shield slot, let's unequip there. What we'll do, and then obviously you're going to want a main hand of some sort, so let's pick up this sword. Now that we're dual-wielding sword-axe, and there's a billion different versions, as you guys know from Warrior, the Master of Weapons. Now that we're doing this, we get to Final Thrust faster, and we get to use our spinning axe abilities and stuff faster. So yeah, we're going to run, we could go axe-sword, or we could go sword-axe. I'm going to go Sword Axe. Sword Axe seems pretty cool to me. So yeah, dual wielding. And again, I just think there's a really beautiful Grandmaster. It's actually one of my favorites in the game, just for like purity of its idea and essence. I think it's awesome. So anyway, there you go. That's arms. The other thing I want to tell you guys about Tyrix here is check it out. So we did have a Devourer hanging out with us the whole way through the story. But I think having seen what we've seen now with the tanks moving through ore, it's a cool idea to pick up this Char Car, as it's called. So this mini was actually something available on the game's gem store, but it's not necessarily associated with expansions and whatnot, so I've picked this up. It actually has a really cool subtle sound as well, if you listen carefully. You can hear it roaring away, and as we move, it drives towards us. And actually sounds like the car. It's got some really nice animation, so I do adore that thing. And yeah, we'll run around with that. So there you go, that's Tyrix. But he's got a big decision here, right? We've convinced Traherne it is worth trying to find the source of ore, but how do we find it? Well, there's this thing about the human gods. But come on, the human gods? I'm not very interested in that. Here, he's also talking about the Norn, though. There's a map to the source of ore. Now, I don't really know much about the Norn. I don't really care much about the Norn. However, I did hang out in the Vigil for a long time with a pretty badass Norn. Forgul, ever in my heart. Maybe we have just a little bit of respect for the Norn coming out of the back of that. So, what is this map? An ancient Norn explorer, Romke, was trapped in ore when Zaitan rose beneath his ship. Legend says his map was blessed by all four spirits of the wild and can show the route to any destination. Interesting. Okay, so where can we find this map then? We're looking for like a wrecked ship somewhere in ore. That seems easy enough. It actually seems like a really plausible and comfortable way of doing this, as long as you believe in the powers of the map. We'd have to ask Romke himself. His ghostly form is still trapped in ore. It's bound to the land that ended his journey and his life. You'll find him near the Mauseless Sea. So the Mauseless Sea, we talked about this. You actually get to go to this area now. The map sounds promising. Let's go talk to this ghost. Find his map. Any destination. Surely that'll be useful even if we survive this Zaitan fight and everything upcoming.
We were so close. Closer than ever before. But we cannot give up hope. My wild hunt is not in vain. This is a challenge we can overcome. You have my gratitude, Commander, for all you've done.
Alright, so leaving Azabe Kabar for the last time. I'm curious what weapon we get here. Oh, I wanted it to be like a main hand or something, and then we could have, you know, messed around with it. But instead, we're getting a rifle and a bow. This is always, by the way, a really good thing here, because there's always a rare level 80 thing. Two-handed, I guess, is what they go with. Let's pick up a nice new rifle. We haven't used one for a while. Obviously, we don't get the dual wielding benefit with that, but that's good enough for me. Alright, Traherne. Ko. Gretchen's death, very sad. Strange bear lady. Don't know much about. Guess we never will. Let's move on into the Mauseless Sea. So here, pretty interesting little outpost. We do have some pirates around. Shan the Vindictive. Hey, we could use your help. We've been trying to reach a magic pearl that will help the Pact fight the Risen. Wait, what part of the Pact do you belong to? You don't look like you're part of the Pact. You know, the fighting part. We need those pearls to power our magic weapons. So you're going to help or what? I don't think I'm on board with this scheme of yours. There's a really interesting event if you guys take the time to do it. Kind of plays with your expectations of what an event will do. So here, by the way, in these caves way down south, you will start to see a little bit more orichalcum. The only other one I've really shown you much of was the one up in Frostgorge. This is a tunnel that actually back at launch I used to run along a lot because there's two kind of orichalcum ore nodes, quite similar. It's very nostalgic for me to come here. Very much indeed. Well, here we go. There's the entrance to the mission. God damn it. The Risen are relentless here. Get out of my face. We are a man on business. We are high-ass level warrior now. And we will do what we can. There was actually a defeated other Pact player there. Did you guys see that? Oh, God. All right. So here we go. Romke's final voyage. The other side of the coin for the final decision you get to make in the game. So there's a bunch of captains here. Traherne is standing way back, actually out of bounds. That's really interesting. Look at the friggin' giant watery themed stuff there. All right, so I guess we'll just speak to Romke. And look, we got loads of different characters here. We got Short. It's going to be all like Norwegian and Scandinavian kind of names that I'm not going to know how to pronounce, right? Yifk, Hawk. And I'm probably going to avoid saying the names for the rest of the video now. Alright, quick note here. I've tried multiple times to relaunch my client and fix this. It seems in the side-by-side cutscene we're about to watch, Romke is bugged, okay? And he's going to look ridiculous. I'm just warning you now. I can't fix it in any way. It's really unfortunate. It's a long cutscene, though, so we can have a chuckle at the start. And then let's try our best to focus on what he says. I find it super distracting, but it is what it is. So here, let's try again.
Ho, traveler.
Greetings, traveler. I'm Romke. Well, I was Romke. It's been a long time since I encountered such nobility on these corrupted shores.
Well met, Romke. I've come to recover your legendary map. My allies and I seek the source of ore, so that we can cleanse this blasted landscape.
At last, thank the spirits. My crew and I have waited centuries for someone like you. We were explorers seeking to circumnavigate the globe. Our journey ended when ore rose beneath us, trapping our ship on the spire of a mountain. The undead swarmed around us. We knew we had to get out. We fought through and commandeered the pirates, but in the end, we were overwhelmed. The map you seek is a sacred thing, blessed by all four spirits of the wild. Even in death, we could not leave it in this wretched place. While it languishes, trapped and forgotten, so must our spirits. But if someone like you reclaims the map, we can finally move on. I can tell your motives are pure. Come, meet us at Marcellus Shores, and we will show you where the map lies. The rest is up to you.
Man, he pronounced Mausolus totally different to me.
Welcome, explorers. The sunken wreck that holds the map is this way, just offshore.
Thank you, Romke. We'll do our best to set you and your crew free.
Our map will show the way to your destination. Recover it, and we all benefit. Those are the remains of our ship, the Wayfarer. I mourn her as if she were my own mother.
So, there you go. Tran runs in. We get a little bit of extra dialogue. What an unfortunate cutscene there, man. But the story he tells, nonetheless, is amazing to me. So, Norn seeking to circumnavigate the globe. Now, there's two separate pieces of information we've had now. We're hearing about them trying to circumnavigate the globe. So, that's suggestive that they don't know what's out there, right? They want to find a good route to go all the way around, which is an incredible prospect that would take you so far away from what we're looking and scrolling around now. It's kind of mind-blowing. They visit and meet so many cool places. It's a very like Norn idea, right, of them being these great bold travelers and adventurers seeking legends for themselves and going out and doing this incredible stuff. I love the story. That's one piece of information. And you know what? So they probably started in Lion's Arch, came down, and then boom, just got stranded all the way down here, actually. So not only did they reach Ore, they kind of sailed all the way across Ore. And right, I mean, the tragedy of this is their ship, right on the edge. Super sad, right? I mean, we can still imagine that it's hundreds of miles in, but, you know, it's on the edge relative to the entire nation. So that's a really sad little story there. But also, they had a map that told them exactly how to get wherever they wanted to go, supposedly so. So, did they know? Can I ask them right now, like, if that was their trajectory? Like, what is down here? What continent is that? What's it called? What are the people like there? Like, they must have known, right? Is there any need to circumnavigate if you already have a map? Can you, like, transcribe it in some way? So there's all this, like, fun, weird, waffly, magical, characteristics to talk about in association with that. But, yeah, also, this taps on some very old Guild Wars 1 lore. You might wonder, why are they spirits? Is it because Zitans, the Elder Undead Dragon, woke up and trapped them here? I mean, the previous mission kind of suggested maybe a little bit of that. But actually, one of the first things we hear about why there are ghosts on Tyria is, you know, they're people with purposes that sort of cling to the planet for some reason and refuse to move to the afterlife or go to the beyond, go to the mist, whatever lies in wait, and particularly for a Norn, we don't know. But so the idea is they care that much about this map that they're holding out for it here. And, you know, that's a very pure, like, Guild Wars 1 kind of interpretation as to why you get some ghosts. So a lot of cool things. Hey, Trahan. He says, you've led us this far, Commander. Now we must reach the shore. Follow me. So, yeah, their ship split in two. And I love how the ship is just like a random ship almost seeming. In fact, well, hold on. Is it this or is it the giant ark over there that's also sort of slammed down on the shore? In any case, if it's definitely this one here, it just feels like, you know, we've seen how many of these around Ore, and you kind of stop thinking about it, don't you? You sort of think, you know, it's just another ship, whatever, but they all have stories, they all had crews, and they all had a reason for being here and being sunk here. And in fact, some of the most fascinating points of interest and pieces of lore and stuff we'll find going forward are exactly that kind of thing. Anyway, we're close now. That's for a story for once we're inside Arra. We're close now. The waters where we lost the map are just ahead. Okay, so here we got a guy called Hawk. You should have seen us in our prime. We'd be sitting by the fire, drinking brandy and reading that map by now. We'll get there. It will just take us a little bit longer. Okay. So these are quite old Norn as well. I wonder whether any of them could have survived. We certainly saw that Forgal was old, or suggested to be very old. I wonder if this tragedy hadn't happened, would they be back in Central Tyria already? Except, you know, would we have created trade lanes with all kinds of other places? I love the thought that there's just all these Norn that have done these explorations and you just don't realize. Like, imagine this, guys. They do an expansion someday where we're 1,000,000 miles away in, like, a totally separate continent and it's just very, very disconnected from the rest of the game. It's all new lore. It's all fresh. It feels like a totally new chapter, right? The likes of which Guild Wars 2's never seen because it's always been retreading in the ground of Guild Wars 1. We're super far away, right? And we go there, and we're having fun in this alien landscape. We open, like, a door to a pub or something, and there's just, like, a couple of Norn in there, and they're like, hello, we came here many years ago, and, you know, that's such a cool idea to me. That's essentially the situation these guys were set up for. Maybe the Norn are pretty cool. We've been waiting a long time for someone like you. It's maddening knowing that the map is within our reach, but we can't do anything about it. Well, that changes now. Let's get it. And I think the other one is Sherd here. You have no idea what it's like. We were supposed to be sailing the world, facing new challenges. Here, we're trapped, fighting the same enemies year after year, decade after decades. And you might think it's weird they've been here for decades, Chahern never met them. Again, it's just one of those sly little suggestions at how big Or truly is.
I swore the magical map would take us to Panther. Against Wolf himself if we succeed.
Alright, so we're going to have to listen quite carefully here to their dialogue. But here he said, I swore the magical map could take us to Cantha. So maybe they were actually, I mean, it kind of felt like they were headed south, right? Instead of in this trajectory, I guess they were going this way. But as so many have tried to get in contact with Cantha in recent years, none have really managed to get through.
It was my stubbornness that brought us here. Curse the Dragon of Ore, and curse my pride.
Oh, curse the Dragon of Ore, really now. They've got a stake in this. Should we get them as ghosts fighting the good fight? How much can they actually help against an Elder Dragon? Should we not have ghosts in the pack? That's a cool idea, isn't it? Maybe there's something that prohibits them from dealing with that. So the majority of the mission here, by the way, is running along this corridor, getting exposition from these Norn, while fighting a ton of Risen.
The sea fled from us. The mountains rose, and the wayfarer was startled in an instant.
Yeah, so this is the longest part of the mission, really, in a lot of ways. You can actually skip it by doing some cheeky jumping. You kind of screw yourself out of all the dialogue and stuff. But if you jump up on the cliffs, basically you can run to the final objective. Chahern will, like, blink over to you, and you can kind of be done super fast. I'm going to do it legit, though.
Thousands of undead covered in seaweed and brine, marching toward a rock. I've never seen such horror. One Norn ship against a tide of foulness and abomination.
It's really well written, isn't it? The way he speaks of this. You know, the idea is that Norn are great storytellers. And he does tell a great story. Thousands of undead covered in seaweed and brine marching towards Arra. The immediate moment that the nation rose up from the depths, I just imagine these vast fields of just ambling undead sort of reorienting themselves after their slumber at the bottom of the sea. And then moving towards Arra. Does that mean there's a ludicrous hive of undead waiting for us there? Well, I'd guess so, near the dragon itself, right? That's not intimidating, right, guys?
That's a might hit, fear, died of starvation. My crew, they died fighting. We fall, alas.
Fearless while he's running at the very back of the group away from us. I'll tell you what, a lot of the knockdowns actually are these Risen Hands. These featured at the end of the meta event to capture the gates.
We built a smaller craft out of our wreckage and plan to make our way to Lion's Arch.
Yeah, so, by the way, a lot of the knockdowns, I think, are actually coming from these Risen Hands that are in the area. We actually saw some enormous, gigantic versions of these in the meta event at the end of trying to capture the Gates of Arra in yesterday's bonus. But here you kind of get a feel for what they actually do, which is lots of knockdown. And you've got to consider, right, especially for that meta, having lots of knockdown where those statues are. If the statues aren't flipped in your favor, you're going to get knocked down into pulsing cripple and bleed fields and healing reduction and constant poison.
Alka fell first, sword in one hand, and the dead man's arm.
Over already?
This is a great mission. The entire thing is really a celebration of, like, that Norn's ability to tell stories. So that was the first death. I feel like I'm there.
They say there are good numbers. It took 50 of them to break his strength. If our choice to drown, the problem is not that later.
Well, there we go. That's how we say it. EFK. Here you go. He's blocking. Yeah, so we use our signet, and now we're unblockable. Sweet. What I could have done, if I had, like, a mace offhand or something, I could have, like, tremored him and interrupted while unblockable. That would have been so cool. And stunned him, too.
To my shame, the scow was scuttled, the map lost, and we cursed off this land.
You go, the end of the tail there.
If we return Wolf's map, the spirits of the wild will finally forget my foolish pride.
It's interesting that he claims it more as Wolf's map than any of the other. We don't really know anything about the spirits of the wild, but he seems to think that Wolf is the more prominent of the four in blessing it and owning it. So there we go. Travel north through the caves and onto the shore. Well, we're here. Tran, this seemed good. Oh, look, we've got some guys here. We've got Shan the Vindictive again, and we've got Clin Tolliver.
There's a risen ship off the coast. Stand ready, you there. If you want to survive, help us defend this beachhead.
Nice try, Mr. Fancy Pants, but we only fight for gold. Run for it, boys!
Run, you filthy coward.
I know they seemed shady.
I'm calling in air support. We need to hold on until it arrives.
You can have our help, but we can't touch the map. You must do it.
We're not leaving until our path to the source of ore is clear.
We'll hold out on the beach. When the attack slowly fall, seize the moment, enter the water, and retrieve the map.
Alright, so we're being sieged. I think I might have missed the animation of the boat coming out. Zaitan knows we're here and what we're trying to do, and he summons a ship in a really cool area, actually. If you think about this in the open world, having an enormous ship there would be quite the sight to behold. So it's cool to see it here in the personal story. And so we hit phase 2 of the mission now. We need to clear out the Risen to get to Romke's map. Stand fast, Commander. Air support is on its way. So, what this basically is a big defense. And I think what the devs are playing with is the concept that you're in the middle of a defense and you actually genuinely have to find like the tactical moment to slip away where everyone won't die and it won't all fail to get in the water and get the map. But they never really worked out good mechanics for this. So what actually is going to happen here is we have to defend for quite a while, like 4 minutes or so, which is a reasonable length of time. And then once we've defended a huge amount of the Risen, our opportunity to go out into the water will be unfolded for us. But yeah, they are going to relentlessly attack us. I want to take this second to just talk about some of those pirates that ran off that were there with that event as well out in the open world. Particularly one of those characters, the guy called Clin Tolliver. Do you remember when we were up at Meddlers, I said that some NPCs would have been named after prominent members of the community and stuff? Well, that Clin Tolliver character is actually one such person. An old friend of mine that I used to play Guild Wars 1 with, and used to be associated even to some extent with some of the videos I made with the original Let's Play. A really, prolific, frequent commenter on the Guild Wars 2 Guru forums. And, a lot of people like him had references. That happened a lot with the original game as well. And here in Ore, you get to see that. So I love that NPC because it just reminds me of, my old friend that I still sometimes talk to, actually, a little bit. We throw tweets with one another every now and then. So it's very cool. And it's one of those things as well. Several years after Guild Wars 2 came out, ArenaNet started adding references to contemporary people, that were on the scene and were prominent community members in a couple of small places. And it was always met with quite a lot of snide and derision from the broader community, as we went into the 2014s, 15s, and beyond. But I've always felt that was a bit weird.
They're headed this way. Let's charge them. Stand fast, Helka. This fight is for the map, not for glory. Once it's safe, Wolf will send us a little message of life. Aye, sir. I don't like it. I'll follow your lead.
Oh my god, they're going down. Look, it's like a last stand thing. It's like they're doing the end of Halo Reach kind of thing. Anyway, I've always felt it was a bit weird because it's always been in ArenaNet's nature to do references to community members and stuff. And I don't say this purely self-interested because I actually ended up getting a reference in the game too at some point. I say this just as a general thing. And the fact that people thought that was weird, it just kind of goes to show they don't know the little things, like this NPC here in this instance that had been here since 2012. It's under most people's noses. They just don't pay any attention, really. And it's exactly the kind of thing I want to show off on the LP. Anyway, so everyone's gone now, and I just have to keep defending until air support arrives. So what I'm going to do is equip the war banner, and we're going to cast it, AoE, over all of our allies, and revive them all at once. Look at that. Well, it does mean we lose one signet, but that's still pretty goddamn cool, right, guys? So everybody's back in action.
Rest.
So you can see that our objective is now flashing in red up there. And air support, please. They're going down again. Oh, look at the siege in the cutscene. That looks so good. The animation looks so smooth and awesome. Come on, Pact, save us. There it is, an airship. Yeah. Oh my god, we're still surrounded though. Alright, we've got to clear remaining Risen from the beach and help our friends get up. Oh my god, that was a really nice Act 5 there. You'll notice, by the way, as well, there's lots of enemies in the area. This is one of the rarer personal story instances where they populate the periphery with mobs that you can kind of ignore and you don't have to fight. Just kind of adds to the ambience of the area. There's a chopper all the way over there as well.
Over already?
Oh, we almost missed the sink of the ship with that foreboding airship in the background. Look at that. Oh, baby, down it goes.
Don't say I never gave you so long and we're so close. Please reclaim the map and set us free.
So the third and final phase of this mission is to swim out there and retrieve Romke's map. The map is out there deep underwater. This curse keeps us bound to the shore, so you have to go on without us. Well, so certainly, surely can do. Let's move on. And there you go. There you actually hear why they couldn't necessarily get on a raft and leave. They're bound to the shores. Right. And why they can't just swim out at any point in the meantime. I would have assumed it's something like their ghostly hands can't manipulate the physical world in any meaningful way. But they can fight Risen, so surely in some ways they can. And we've certainly seen with Fire Ghost, that's true. I love how the under the water actually looks here. It looks really nice and detailed. One of my favorite things to do actually in this game is look at underwater areas while still above water. There's just something about the effects that they've given the surface of the water that makes it really shine. All right, here, down we go. It's very scary, ominously orange. A little bit of underwater content right here. Devs have not forgotten about it, even right up to the end. We get it. And so here, check it out. There is veteran undead Romke that we're fighting as a boss. Alongside him are his companions, Yifk and so on. So it's kind of interesting. We've heard a little bit as the story's gone along, like, are the souls of the original people inside the bodies or are they not? We had that really interesting dialogue back in Mount Maelstrom at the camp with a ghost who said that her risen body was around. And well, here we've got another example. The spirits of the actual people are here, and Zaitan's possessed, like, shadows of the original people. Perhaps releasing, in some sense, the ghosts up top. We do, of course, have the two other characters here. I don't think it would be right for us to leave these two swimming around here. Let's provide justice in all here, shall we? Let's take everyone out. Maybe it would have been cooler if we'd somehow managed to fight all of them together. It would have been a more interesting boss fight. But they don't seem like they're very good underwater, to be honest. Trahan says, since Romke and his crew cannot accompany us, the task force to us. Are you ready? Absolutely. We're in the middle of it, Trahan. And here you can find a small treasure chest, which we open up. Underwater still.
I have the map, Marshal, but it looks like an ordinary nautical chart of the area.
As expected. My research indicates the true map will remain dormant until the traveler opens it and speaks their destination aloud. The map will then display the target location, everything around it, and everything between it and the traveler's current position. We shouldn't linger here. Let's return to Romke on the shore. If he's there, he can verify the map's authenticity. What's on your mind?
That was Romke's risen corpse, so I presume this is Romke's map. Let's get back to the shores so he can verify its authenticity and, if it's real, show us how to actually use it. Should we mention we just killed their corpses? And Trahan says I'd keep that quiet. Would you want strangers to tell you that Zaitan turns your corpse into a slave and that they had to butcher you? Good point. Let's get back to shore. I don't know whether I agree with Trahan. I don't know whether that is a good point. I guess Terex feels so, but I feel like as Norn, they'd be happy to hear that vengeance and justice has been delivered, no? And they're not idiots. Well, maybe they are idiots, but surely they appreciate that's a possibility and always has been.
You found the map. This is a great day.
Indeed. But you must show us how to use the map to find the source of ore.
I shall. It starts by calling upon the spirits of the wild. Their power makes the map function. This is a great day.
Indeed.
Oh, here we go. And so the spirits of the wild come together, surround us, and we get this really kind of cool image here, zooming through the cursed shore. Look at this. And the music cuts out. It gets really creepy. We swing through. This is like an epic vista that they've created here. With the black and white here. We follow the waters along. This is near Winterdale Isle, near the assault of the Temple of Melandru. So the map gives us like a vision, yeah? We go under the tunnel where Nekandeza was. Under the water. And up here. Oh, I really like this. The other mission doesn't kind of give you such an explicit suggestion of how to get to the hidden place. It kind of just leaves you to wander around at the cathedral.
Good work today, Commander. We freed the spirits of Romke and his crew. And now we have the means to find the source of ore.
We still have to reach the source to complete the cleansing ritual. Zaitan's forces won't make that easy.
Nothing worthwhile is easy, or without a price. Reversing the dragon's corruption will be a dangerous trial, but it will be done. We'll regroup at the Artesian waters, then press on to the source.
Beautiful. So there you have it. Romke's final voyage complete. We get a choice of some gear here. It is actually better than what we're currently wearing. Let's pick up the Outriders pauldrons here, which are Berserker statted. And let's check up with everyone, see what they have to say. I never expected to find allies among Or's dead, but now, take heart, Commander. We're finally ready to break Zaitan's grip on this corrupted nation. I'll be standing by when you're ready. He says, it is done. I can feel the curse lifting. My crew and I... That's a beautiful idea that Traherne just raised there as well, actually, that we do get some of the undead on our side. That's a nice twist, right? My crew and I, we're free. Thank you. May the map lead you to your heart's desire. And when you destroy Zaitan, spit in the rotten worm's face for us. Will do, Captain. Thanks for all your help. And I'd love to see them, like, dissipate and fade away now. Thank you. I don't know where we're going to go next, but it has to be better than this. May the seas be calm, and thank you for your help with the map. So these guys have to face their mortality now, really. Now we can begin on our next great journey. We're in your debt. If there is one. I mean, Christ.
Good hunting.
Who knows what happens after this when we go beyond the pale. Nice work. I thought all you modern explorers were soft. Guess I was wrong. I like his characterization there. So there you have it. Now we get very explicit detail of how to reach the Artesian waters and cleanse ore. Damn it, friggin' wizard.
Soldiers of the Pact, you are not merely our best hope. You are our only hope. Your duty is to defend this entrance against the servants of the dragon, Zaitan.
So here, I do want to take the time to show you guys Tyrix's army. You know, the people that have become so important to him and are at his side. So let's see what we've got. Well, Mira is here once again. Check it out. Here we've got Galena. Me and Snarl are glad to be back on the battlefield one last time. We've been through a lot together, from Claw Island to the Heart of Ore. Thank you for standing by me. Only 2 people in my life have ever stood by me, Commander. You're one. That lunk Snarl's the other. I'm not letting you down now. Thanks, Galena. Check it out. We get the Ogres this time. And so Lagula stands at the front. These guys just seem so intimidating, bringing up this wing here. No time for talking. This is the time for battle. That's the spirit, Lagula. Today we fight one last time. Win or lose, we stand against the dragons. I'm grateful for your friendship, we say. We got Agent Zri here. We meet again, Commander. Best of luck there. We'll be all right behind you. Thanks, Zri. We've been through a lot ever since our first mission, organizing the Pact. We've got Snarl here. Fanon, we know what they say, but check it out. Here we've also got Ballista Gear Grind and Gear Strip. So the Gear Warband don't still really know their origins, but they helped us with the tanks in ore. What's taking so long? Aren't we ready yet? Come on, my weapon's getting cold. Too bad we can't roll these tanks in here, eh, Ballista? You said it, Tyrix. That'd show him. Well, I guess there's nothing to do but charge. That's a nice actual explanation as to why we don't have airships and stuff. Stick together and defend Traherne. I really, really, really need a beer right now. You sure you don't have one handy? Personally, I'd rather have those tanks than a beer right now. They did well in ore, didn't they? Yeah, we'll be fine without them. Just fine. You'll see. This is written in a weird way, suggesting we're not even in ore, but we totally are. At the front here, very sadly, is this the only other Sylvari around as well? Oh, no, we got a Fanon, but damn, not many Sylvari represented this time. We've got Karis.
Seize the moment.
I wish that Tegwin were here. She should have lived to see this day. She taught the Pale Reavers well. You're all extremely talented. Even in her absence, you're a valued part of the team. Thank you, Commander. I'm doing my best to take her place as leader. We won't fail you. You'll do her proud, Karis. I know it. So we get that. Once again, we've got Gore. We remember his dialogue. We got a Foot, but this time we're a member of the Vigil, and she might speak a bit different. She says, the battle ahead will be difficult, Commander. Are you prepared? The Vigil trained me well, Foot. I'm ready for anything. I hope you're right, Tyrix Ripjaw. I really do. We got Sire, we got Dern. I think all of this we've seen already. So yeah, a totally different flavor of NPCs. Pretty nice. Let's get on in, Churn. You ready? This is actually going to be a pretty tricky fight.
I see you are indeed competent. Guards, let them pass. We wish to be up.
It seems we're being invited in.
Still so far away. Are you that afraid? Come closer. We wish to see you more clearly.
We're going to have to hit him hard if this is going to work out this time.
Someone name.
Whoa, we're doing so well. Look at this. He's not even moved yet. Oh, my God. There's the first phase. He's at 17%. All right, bullet hell.
And find everything you have lost.
We're just going for it. We're going to play the bullet hell properly. Yeah, baby. Oh, nice. And we get to hit him again. We're going to charge back. No saving you now, You got a char on your ass. One more final thrust. Yeah.
Why does it gleam so brightly?
Here at the end, I'm glad that it's just you and me. We will cleanse all together, as we were meant to do.
The line's broken. We're being overwhelmed. Fall back!
To me!
But now my wild hunt is complete. It's time I redefine myself.
These vines look really like unnatural and alien in this chamber here, actually, looking back now. So good job, Traherne. The corruption is gone from this chamber. It will take time to spread throughout, or assuming we can defeat the dragon. Well, that day will come, Traherne, soon, very soon. So I do want to take a second to catch up with our unique NPCs again at the end here. There will be some slight changes. So here we got Mangonel Gear Strip. If you say I can't have that beer now, I'll have you up on charges, Commander. You can have one on me when we get back to Fort Trinity. Well done, my friend. We got Karis here. Bless the pale tree. I believe Tegwin's spirit was watching over us. I hope this memory lingers in the dream forever. New generations will be born, knowing her courage and yours. That's an interesting line. What would the dream make of what's happened here? So we've also got Ballister Gear Grind. A little force, a little fortitude. Cheers for Commander Tyrix Ripjaw and for Marshal Traherne. Cheers for everyone, Ballista. We did it. Well, here we got Lagula, who unfortunately doesn't actually want to speak to us and is in kind of a weird position. Oh, no, there we go. She does want to speak. We have won the day. Down with the dragons. Freedom for all. Freedom for all of Tyrio. So the ogres are actually just kind of splotted around here a bit. What else we got? We got Snarl, Galena, Zot, Sire... and probably Ifut will be a little bit different here. Another battle, another fight, but this time the victory means more than it ever has. It's the birth of a new age, Ifut. Brilliant. So let's head to Fort Trinity to plan how to defeat an Elder Dragon. Tyrix hasn't got time for this planty stuff. It's dragon slaying time. Ritlock was galloping toward the downed dragon when it suddenly rolled over and righted itself. Its holocaustal eyes glared down the length of the crater at the running Char, a stone lance in his claws. Then, Kraukatorix spread massive wings and beat them against the air and rose from what should have been its grave. No! Roared Ritlock. The dragon lifted easily away and climbed into the sky. No! Ritlock bellowed, hurling the spear. It arced up, cracked off the shoulder of the beast, bounding away. The lance fell, useless, in the crater. Already, Kraukatorix was out of reach. Its mile-long wings thrummed the air, blasting flat every creature on the desert below. Ritlock Brimstone fell to his knees. Winds buffeted. The dragon retreated, unhearing, uncaring. Its wings boiled the clouds as it climbed. It ripped through them and rose, leaving only a troubled wake across the heavens. We're about to try and kill an Elder Dragon. No small order. It's actually just started pouring with rain IRL as we've entered this instance here. Got some cool NPCs over there. So, yes, this is a hell of a challenge. What this final concluding moment of the Source of Ore does is takes us back to Fort Trinity, and while the story so far has set up, you know, this massive attack on Ore, and we've been actually directly, I would say, assaulting the Elder Dragon so far, there's still a lot of groundwork that needs to be laid on how the hell we can even do this. So what you'll find happens in this last instance is actually quite interesting, that either you'll really enjoy or maybe even feel a bit repulsed by, I think, in that we're going to learn and be introduced to a lot of new characters and ideas and things that have been going on under the Pact that we had really no idea about until now. At the last moment, these things are revealed to us. And, you know, you might think that they could be breadcrumbed a little bit more, or you could take that as this big imaginative moment where you realize just how vast and widespread this assault on an Elder Dragon it has been and is going to be. So, yes, we are going to run into the fort and see what we find. It's a beautiful instance where they've populated all kinds of, you know, ambient enemies around. There's no Risen to speak of in the area now. Fort Trinity should be feeling really safe. It's our return to the green areas. You know, some choices can take you back here to get on an airship or whatever. But for Tyrix, you know, oh, actual grass. It's the first time we've been out of Ore for a very, very, very long while. This last chapter, Victory or Death, is a super long one. And I don't know, I like this moment where we finally actually get back to breathe what may actually feel like fresh air. Not just because of the cleansing that might now be about to go on, but also because we're actually just away from Ore for a moment. You'll actually remember the first time we came to Fort Trinity, so long ago now, the first time we saw this, we walked along this bridge, and I said, you know, that one of the last times we see Fort Trinity will be the same bridge. I don't know how many of you remember that little hint, but I was thinking about this exact moment here when we first came over. It's kind of my first entrance, and it's one of our last entrances too. So here Tyrix comes on in, still in one piece, ready to see what we've got. We're going to find Traherne is our main objective, but as we move through, there's a ton of dialogue we can get. Now, some players are just going to run along, you know, the main path in the middle and be done with it, but we're going to take our time because there's so much extra stuff to enjoy. First of all is our racial allies that we got way earlier in the story do reappear once again here. So I think some people are quite cynical about the Guild Wars 2 personal story and say that they don't really pay off on the racial allies enough, but there's actually 4 or 5 very separate beats where they do reappear, and this is actually the one thing in this whole instance now that honors prior choices you've made. We're about to shift gear here, really, away from the story of Tyrix to the story of Destiny's Edge. And so, yeah, I kind of like that even this still is changing these last moments. So, hey, Lagula. Taking Ore from the undead felt good. I don't want to get even. I only want to not live under a dragon's shadow. For me, for my people, for Tyria, kill Zaitan. It will happen, Lagula, soon. So, yeah, we get to speak to them. Now, I'm going to come up on the right, and we get lots of extra dialogue voiced as well. So, you got to watch carefully what's going on around you. We've got workers in all these places. It's so beautiful, right?
The captain will blow a valve when he sees this subpar material.
Puh. That's not what keeps her in the sky. It's the pilot. Captain Gagnir's the best there is.
Since you believe that, you tell him that this stuff is inferior.
Got me there. Better replace the whole cog then.
Okay, so Captain Gagnir, a captain we've not heard of up until this point. What are they talking about? Some 40 materials? What are they building exactly? So there are 2 characters we don't really know. There's crewman Rysart and there's crewman Caster Scorchsail.
Wind in your sails.
So they're kind of piratey themed, it seems. Look sharp, Commander. I can't wait to mount Zaitan's rotting skull over Fort Trinity's gates. Are we overconfident here? Oh god, it's a dragon, guys. You and me both, soldier. I heard you were with Master Traherne when he began the cleansing of Ore. I wish I could have been there to see that. I'm very particularly interested in that moment. It was truly spectacular, but the larger battle is still to come. The larger battle indeed. So we get that. Let's move up here as well. We'll find some other familiar faces. It's Occam and Izu Steelstrike. So, and here, once again, he's called the Master Blacksmith with the lowercase m and b here. So these are the 2 crafters that way back when we founded the Pact, when we were in Timberline Falls, we, you know, we're introduced to these guys. Also, there was a renowned Norn blacksmith that was with them originally as well, Bagarth, but he's nowhere to be seen here. Nonetheless, though, check it out, the Tengu do still have a bit of an involvement.
It is my honor to meet you.
We haven't really seen these guys at all for a long time in what they've actually been doing. There was just the suggestion they were building things for the Pact, weapons and stuff. Maybe they were in part architects of the stuff we see around us. Well, Easy says, I salute you, Commander. Tales of this victory will be told inside the walls my people have built to sequester themselves. Thank you very much. So, even the Tengu are interested in our cleansing. Are they interested in the death of an Elder Dragon we're now going for? Are they going to fly in and help us at the last hour? Here's Occam as well. I've never experienced anything quite like this before. In the past few weeks, I've seen so much, learned so much. Perhaps Bagarth is right when he says, you need to get out more. If you're ready for that, I know the rest of us are. So Occam, creator of the invulnerable armor. It's great to see you again, dudes. So, yeah, that's them. I think that's pretty much everyone in this area here. We can just jump down. That's actually out of the boundaries of the instance, but you can still see the Asura gates working away over there. You can still see NPCs, people moving around backwards and forwards. It feels like a really lively, cool place, right? The gates, once again, shut there. So, let's look at these tents on the inside here now. This is the Vigil. They're all mustered around in this section. And, of course, these are our guys. So, how's it going, everyone? We've got a Foot speaking at the head. Now that the cleansing of ore is underway, there's nothing between us and victory but the dragon. And it's next, right? Right. It is definitely next. Fuji!
It is good to speak to you.
Loranthe told us you were ready, but some of us doubted it. No longer. When you attack Zaitan, we'll be there to support you every step of the way. So this is Fuji Shadowbane. I appreciate that very much, Fuji. Thank you. We have met Fuji before. This was actually... if you took a side visit to the Vigil Keep and just sort of wandered about and had a chat in there, you could find him in one of the battle rooms. And Lorantha as well, likewise, you can find the Keep, and has had a much more prominent role in the later stages of the story here. I knew you were the right person for this job. May your string of victories continue until Zaitan is expunged from this world. You notice he doesn't really talk about his quest for love too much as the story goes forward now. It will. The Pact is ready for the final showdown, so the Pale Reaver's represented here to some extent. And a Foot! Sorry, we already spoke to you, Afoot. Why did I want to... I like Afoot so much, I wanted to speak to her twice there. Very, very bizarre. Okay, so there you go. That's the Vigil guys. As we move forward, we'll find the other groups. Here we've got Whispers, and in particular, 5 very cool NPCs. These are probably the most exciting NPCs in this whole instance to me, and we'll get to them in just a moment. But moving up, let's speak to Whispers, you sneaky skullduggers. Let's see. Dern says, you're on a roll, Commander. Do us all a favor, and don't stop until Zaitan itself is crushed beneath your wheels. The Order of Whispers will be behind you all the way. I like this, you know, as a char with all our tanks and stuff. I know we're Blood Legion, right? You guys keep pointing out to me in the comments, oh, we're blood, not iron. But we were raised in iron areas, all right? So that iron influence affects us. That's what I've been trying to get at this whole time. But yeah, all right, glad to hear it, Dern. Who else have we got? Anyone else to talk to? We got these very cool... I like the heavy armor on Whispers. They look so cool. In fact, I just like all the Whispers armor. How many times have I pointed that out through these many videos here? Halvora wants to speak here. Everything is falling into the place. You can count on us when you're ready to make a run at Zaitan. Just say the word. Don't worry, Preceptor. I will. Of course, Real won't be speaking here because Tyrix doesn't know Real's true identity. And, in fact, to tell you the truth, Gix isn't with the Priory and Almora isn't here. They're all the second in commands. We have to assume that the leaders of the orders are actually still back at base somewhat. It would have been nice to have them come forward here. All right, so let's look at these 5, right? They're near Whispers, but they're not really associated. You'll notice that it's one of every race that's playable in the game. We have Asura, we have Sylvari, we have Human, we have Norn, and we also have Char. And let's see what they've all got to deal with. We're about to go to Ara, right, guys? And any of you lore nerds like me, and like these 5, should be pretty thrilled at that prospect. So here's Warden Ilra. She says, this is a monumental occasion, Commander. The dragons affect everything that is and ever was on Tyria, including my area of study. Access to ore will answer a lot of questions. So, these are 5 NPCs looking to study the ruins of Ara. What's your area of study? The Forgotten. They are an ancient and very powerful race that predate the earliest civilizations on Tyria. I can't wait to see what the Orion record shows us about them. So here we have the Sylvari interested in the Forgotten. We know a little bit about them, but perhaps Ara will reveal more, assuming we can make it safe enough to do some research. Here we have the Asura. And who are the Asura interested in, or at least Scholar Ysa here? If I can get a research team into Ara, I may be able to settle a lot of questions about the Marsat. The Marsat! Ah, the Unseen Ones! Deborah would be more than familiar with this story here. So wait, hold on. Is that your field of research? Are you a White Mantle? It is indeed. The Marsat, or the Unseen Ones, keep reappearing after they've been reported gone. Some think them gods, but I mean to establish who they truly were, or are. So that question, are the Massarts still around? Why are the White Mantles still around? That mystery from early human stuff? Sounds interesting. Good luck with that. Here we've got a guy called, well, hold on. Let's do the Norn next. This is Vara Skylark.
Knowledge is the greatest treasure.
She says, defeating the dragons may just provide me with the data I need to conclude my thesis. What are you studying? The Jotun. So you notice each time it's an ancient race. And I find the pairings really interesting. Why are the Sylvari paired with the Forgotten? Why are the Asura paired with the Mazar? Well, here the Norn might be kind of interesting. Norn paired with Jotun. They're both giant races, right? Jotun, they've been a threat to my people for generations. But they were instrumental in fighting off the Elder Dragons last time they rose. At least, that's what my thesis says. I hope you find your proof. Okay, yeah, because right now they just, bumble around. They don't seem particularly dangerous. So these last two are really, really cool. The Human and the Char, of course, right? The heart of Guild Wars is a franchise. Human and Char, baby. So first, let's deal with the Human. This guy's called Randall Greystone. And, well, I guess we'll speak to him first. He says, a lot of us scholars are eager to explore ore. Purely for research, of course. The lost lore we'd recover in Arar alone will be invaluable. And there are payoffs on this, guys, just to be clear. This isn't all, like, needless hinting that doesn't mean anything. What are you researching? My speciality is the Seers. We know so little about them, but they warred with the Massart, and they were a fully fledged civilization before the first humans ever appeared on Tyria. I must know more. So, I hope you find your answers. Basically, each of these NPCs, guys, represents one of the stories told in explorable Arar. Alright, so that's not a spoiler. I won't talk about the circumstance of explorable Arar. But the final dungeon has a story mode we'll be looking at in a second, and also has explorable. There's multiple paths and explorable dungeons, as I've described to you. Each of these NPCs is associated with a different one. Here's a special fact, though. Unlike with all the other dungeons, where there's only 3 paths, so like when Tyrix was in Ascon Catacombs, there are 3 potential explorable paths. There are 3 potential explorable paths in Corticus Manor, 3 in Twilight Arbor, and so on and so on and so on. For Arar, the final one, the special one, there are 4 explorable paths, these 4 NPCs. And the 4th path is like a super long, super badass one, and that's associated with the human Randall Greystone. So he's kind of like the special one here. And to top that off, as him like the special 4th one, his in-game model is actually made to look just like one of the 3 founders of ArenaNet, the company that made the game. Like the big boss at the studio, essentially, right? That's what Randall Greystone is made to look like. So yeah, you got all these explorable paths, and like there's a 4th extra one, which is this special one here. So yeah, you might think, okay, that's all well and good. That's some cool trivia. But hold on, there's a Char here as well. So this is Kalogro the Elder. And here things get even crazier. So this is a Char. And by the way, when you speak to him, he sounds like a human. Let's see if we can trigger his voice.
Honor the past.
There you go. Maybe he sounds like a Char. But here, he says, on behalf of the research team out of Lion's Arch, I guess these guys are all from LA. Let me thank you for cleansing ore. Arar is an antiquities researcher's gold mine. Now we just need to kill that dragon and we can start digging. Okay, that's all well and good. What will you be digging for? Anything regarding the dwarves, their customs, language, magic, architecture, everything. It'd be easier if there wasn't only one still around to talk to. I'm sure Ogden's sick of me by now. So remember, we did see in the Dermot Priory cutscene there was a dwarf in the Dermot Priory. I mentioned that he would become relevant again way later in the game. So here the Char are interested in the dwarves. I hope to open up new avenues for you in ore soon, we say. But as I walk away now, we will never see Kalogro again, the Elder again. So here's a funny thing. Here's what I think happened. The devs didn't want just 4 explorable paths. They wanted 5. For the final dungeon, they were actually planning a 5th one as well to do with the dwarves. However, time crunch, we don't know, whatever the reason was, Kalogro will never appear in there. There aren't 5 Arar paths. There's only 4. And so what their plan was for this Char and his story and what he'd learn in Arar, we never got as a player base. I'd love an update that like refined some of this stuff and added some of these old concepts in. So yeah, he's now like a mystery and enigma all of his own. There's so much to talk about with them. Remember them, guys, because they'll be coming up again later. When we start looking at the dungeons as we go further forward. So, yeah, really nice, and I hope you enjoyed that little bit of trivia there. Most people don't know about that final Char and the story he once upon a time would have told.
No, I told you, it's not ready.
But the Glory of Tyrion is our flagship. It should be in the fight against Zaitan. It
isn't finished yet. By the bear, do you want it to sink like a stone in its first battle?
Your problem. You better hope we win without it, because we may not get another chance.
Oh, so what is this? this is new. The Glory of Tyrion, the flagship of the airship fleet. And we have a lot of airships. So hold on, a special kind of airship? Well, we've not heard of so far. But yeah, it's an idea of a big ship that once again borrows from the architecture and styles of all the 5 races. And yeah, they kind of hint at this thing here. Sounds like it's not going to appear in the fight though, so it won't really help us. I love this sense that the mechanic gives though, that it's like, okay, hold on. If we don't give this everything we've got, we could lose. And then it doesn't matter having just one random airship left that's just being built. It kind of needs to be there at the right moment. It sounds like it won't be. Great, that's not ominous at all, is it?
Tell me the truth. Are any of the Char afraid to fight the dragon in these untested airships?
What? I should gut you just for... Oh, all right. Yes. Some of us are tail-twisted and terrified.
Same here. How do you handle it? I don't want to let anyone down.
Grab the biggest gun you can find. When you're not shooting, you can take cover behind it.
Huh. This is a nice little thing again, humans and Char sort of coming to terms with the fact that they're all, you know, feeling the same emotions. So you can go down to the submarine dock as below us. There's actually not any NPCs down there. Mostly they populate the areas really comfortably, but not on that one. We got some more people talking here. Here you actually see that there is an order, a member of each of the 3 orders. I'll mention these guys again in just a second. Overall, they're not that important, but you'll see in a second. Yeah, there's 1 Vigil, 1 Priory, 1 Whispers. We got some Whispers speaking to each other here. They salute us.
Come to me. We must discuss.
And Sire has just appeared creepily out of nowhere. Hold on 1 second, Sire. We've also got Gore and Vivian. So here, very important at the end of the game. I'm pleased to have contributed to the Pact's efforts and to have survived this far. After you kill Zaitan, do me a favor and save me a piece to study. Okay, I'll see what I could do there, Gore. We've got Vivian as well. So you remember when we were on the airship and we were looking into the eye and finding that out, and then the raids appeared and stuff. It was actually these 2 working together.
So many mysteries.
Vivian says, now that you've begun to remove the corruption from ore, the only thing between me and a research expedition to the source is Zaitan itself. Good job, Commander, and good luck. Wow, you want to go to that chamber? It was pretty dangerous there, but hopefully it's going to get safer over time. So that's good. And finally, we've got the Priory. The 3rd of the factions here, sort of saluting and being happy with us here. So we got 2 characters. First of all is Win It. The road to victory has been rough, and we're not there yet. Soon, though, with you and Traherne leading us, the Pact is poised to triumph. Thank you very much. Now, next to win it is this guy, Decimus. Decimus the Historian. So, we have talked a little bit about him before. An impressive step forward, Commander. I know you'll have the same success against the dragon. Let us know if the Priory can help. So, interestingly, in what Tyrix is probably thinking is that in Ascalon, there is an area called the Decimus Stones, if you remember, right? But that's not necessarily got anything to do with this character. Why it's really cool that the devs put him here, right near the end of the road, is Guild Wars 2 really was introduced to players way back in like 2008 with a big lore article called The Movement of the World that described how Tyria had changed over 250 years between the 2 games. The Movement of the World was really where so much of this lore and the playable races and everything was established, and the in-universe version of The Movement of the World was written by this guy, Decimus the Historian. So, in a way, but the devs putting Decimus here at the end, it's like they're kind of bookending Guild Wars 2. They've got on the one side of Guild Wars 2, it opens with the movement of the world, and at the end they have him here to make us remember the movement of the world. Really nice. And Sire, of course, in the story so briefly and yet so memorable. And here she speaks to us before Traherne. We meet again, Commander. If I didn't know better, I might think you were the hunter and I the prey. Actually, I'm looking for Traherne here. The Marshal is also a solitary creature. He avoids the attention of others, but not mine. You'll find him near the airship docks. Yeah, he seems actually kind of introverted here. Thank you, Sire. May your steps be relentless. I guess he's got a lot weighing on his mind. At the end of the last mission, he was talking about how he kind of has to redefine himself now because he's completed his wild hunt, and he's got this pact with him. He's just got to find his own destiny now.
Priory, Fars, where are we with the supplies for the humble? There's a fight coming.
Just a moment, Captain. Casta and Rizyart are slapping a patch on her keel right now.
Steady, Captain Skyfarer. We'll enter the fray soon enough.
We'd better. I'm not letting those other airships have all the fun.
So, an interesting fact about these guys, I think, is a very Guild Wars 1-y thing, in that they spawn in this triangle, and I'm pretty sure which NPC appears in which spot is randomized, a bit like how Guild Wars 1 bosses would be randomized map maps. That's a really weird thing for me to explain to you guys. But in the production of these videos, you know, I've been doing various instances in various orders, and I'm pretty sure last time I was here, he was in a different spot. But there you have it. So, and that's definitely something the devs can do with this game engine. First mate Priory Ezra. Or easily, like they've got the tools for it. Maybe speaking specifically about the engine is the wrong term there. But, so, who are you guys? We've never met you. First mate Priory. Hello, Commander. Don't let Captain Skyfarer's bloodthirstiness throw you. He's lost a lot of good soldiers on the Risen, and, like many Char, he converts anguish into anger. So, here, the way she speaks is like she thinks he's a Char. But we are on Tyrix here, and maybe she's just sort of like talking in terms of the Char because of us, so that totally works, right, guys? I know how he feels, we say. That's not an error. You know, it's not that the devs wrote that dialogue thinking he was a Char and then later he got turned into a Norn. Here we got the second mate. Second mate Fars, at your service, Commander. Glad to have you with us, Sailor. And lastly, so what? You're the captain of what now? Captain Genghis Skyfarer, at your service. I mean to have Zaitan's head on a stick. And its heart. As many pieces as I can get, actually. The only limitation is the number of sticks. Oh, that's the spirit. I'll let you know if and when I need you. People talking about decapitating this dragon. Alright, let's move on. Lots of new characters introduced to us. How many things they just set up there will become relevant, we will see. And moving along, you got to see, look, there's even workers building, you know, the airship. There's a guy inside the airship here doing things. Well, here's Trahearne out on the deck. I love how they picked this area here because it's such a beautiful vista and sort of landscape to look at that sums up essentially the recent story. Look at this, the airship coming in to port. This is so cool. Is it going to fly off again in a second? God, airships moving is so badass. Ah, okay, Trahearne, look at what you've built. Look at what you've architected. Are you ready to take it to a dragon?
Hear that cheering, Commander? Savor it. Today, the Pact has triumphed, and my wild hunt is finally at an end. Praise the pale tree. I fear you still have great and terrible things to do. To kill Zaitan. Not long ago, I would have thought it impossible.
Cleansing ores seemed impossible, but we did it. With allies like ours, ridding the world of Zaitan will be tough, but not impossible.
Well said. And you can rely on those allies to stand by you to the very end. My wild hunt may be over, but the coalition we've built will fight on. I hereby pledge the entire Pact and all its resources to your task. By the Mother Tree and all who have made the ultimate sacrifice, Zaitan will fall.
Thank you, Marshal. When Zaitan falls, we'll all be there to see it, and the celebration can truly begin.
And there you have it. The source of all completes. For this big instance here at the end, they give us Ecto straight away. So useful in endgame crafting. 3 Spirit Shards. That's like 3 level 80 level ups they give us there. We get the Swelter's Gate. And you'll see that this says required level 70. So we still got a bit of a mistake that I was talking about before with that trivia in the past, where some of the rewards are at the wrong level. But okay, Trahearne, what you got? He says, this is a great day, a joyous day. But I am still troubled. To achieve such a victory with so much yet to be done, put your burden down for a moment and let the Pact cheer its marshal. You're right. Victory does not end a general's responsibility to his soldiers. I shall join the celebration. Excellent. I think I'll join you. So by actually doing that, he'll stand here forever unless you speak to him here. Obviously, we could have just left the instance. But by saying that, we'll actually cause him to move. And he's going to run to an area. We can also say to him, you should be overjoyed. Your wild hunt's complete. He says, I find myself left with an even bigger, more daunting task. Shepherding the Pact through 5 impossible victories over the Elder Dragons themselves. Not impossible, Marshal. We're going to prove it. We heard even, you know, the Norn think that we'll take it to Jormag next. Let's go one at a time, right? 5 immediately. So Trahearne will run off into the base. Do you remember those 3 NPCs I just told you about? The Vigil one, the Whispers one, and the Dermot Priory one? He's going to go stand and talk to them. We could follow him, but it would take ages and be a bit unnecessary. Tyrix, though, is going to move on into the end of the game. So, I haven't actually posted the past couple of videos yet because I've been recording so much over the recent days, but I can already predict what a ton of your comments will have been when I was talking about how the source of ore is the last personal story step. A lot of you will have inevitably been saying, no, it's not WP, the last personal story step is called Victory or Death. And yes, it's true. Here we do still have a green starburst, but Victory or Death, as the game originally was built and created was essentially just a placebo, a placeholder personal story step that just guided you to the story dungeon. It had no substance as a story step on its own that was separate to the story dungeon. Essentially, that's why the personal story capped out in the Source of All with the big boss fight with the eye and stuff, because they are kind of two separate finales, right? If you think about it narratively and you think about it gameplay-wise, right? I mean, technically there is a conclusion to the game you could argue is substance all of its own, but you get my meaning. I shudder the upcoming inevitable internet pedantry targeted my way over this. So, we're now at Victory or Death. Victory or Death was, obviously, we're playing a game called Guild Wars, and the original game had a PvP game type called GVG, Guild versus Guild. And one of the big mechanics in Guild versus Guild was if the games went on too long, there would be like a sudden death mechanic, and it was called Victory or Death. So a big iconic thing of the original game was this sense of victory or death, you know, that last big beat of these, you know, big esport competitions people would do. And so the devs named the last personal story step in the sequel after that old GVG mechanic, Victory or Death. And Victory or Death does mean quite a lot to Guild Wars 2 players, because how this was originally structured with it ending on a dungeon, and the game up until this point had never asked you to actually do one. I've done it on the series for you all because I felt it was important to get the full story, as you know, any exhaustive player should actually do. Because a lot of the player base was too scared to actually party up and didn't know anything about their skills or their traits and things because they just sort of winged it through, a huge amount of Guild Wars 2 players just had Victory or Death here for months or even years after they made their character, and they just see it there. And it became kind of a big community thing of people saying, oh, I just want to get this green marker off. Because once we beat this, the entire way through all these videos so far and the story so far, there's been this green icon here, always telling us, go do this, go do this, go do this, through hundreds of steps and objectives. If we finish Victory or Death now, that area of the user interface cleans up and it goes away. And that was a big thing that people, you know, would fight for in a way, right? And so, yeah, there's a lot of significance to just seeing Victory or Death level 80 there. You know, if you were watching streams and YouTube videos and stuff of Guild Wars 2 around 2012, 2013, even 14, you'd just be constantly seeing on everyone's screens Victory or Death up in the top corner there. To locate Kaith within the ruined city of Arar. And Terex is having a real job doing just that. Here we can see, thankfully, that the Pact still own it, looking all the way up. I love, by the way, how the last two god statues flanking the entrance at the narthex here are Grenth ones, right? Of death. It's like death lingers. Even the Orions cared for death, you know, above others, and they were the ones flanking the entrance to Arar. It's an interesting thought. Did they destroy these? Were they once upon a time Doom ones as well? Also, you remember that mission that had the lit up finger? Well, when these statues have fallen, these have their fingers lit up as well, and all the other god statues have equivalents at the same time. Jesus Christ, so much CC. They don't want me in here. You can't stop us. Alright, so as we approach the entrance here, we've got this scout who we can now speak to. This scout's dialogue actually changes based on whether you can see Victory or... before you beat Victory or Death and after you've beat Victory or Death. So here, he says, you made it this far, but I've got dire news. Pact forces are moving into Arar, the city of the gods. Destiny's Edge has already gone in to board an airship and join the attack on Zaitan. Destiny's Edge is going into the city of the gods. So we know that like 4 of them are together at least, right? They're kind of together again. And I should say city of the human gods. Yes, you'd better, because we do not believe in these gods. Story goes that when the gods first gave magic to humans, they settled here. Gods left, Zaitan took over. His depiction of the history here is not very good, but it's okay. He's just a random scout. Have you heard how they plan to take on the Elder Dragon? I'm not sure. They're pressing with every available airship, and I hear that the Pact has been working on a special weapon that packs a wallop. Well, we heard about something in development at the fort before, but that wasn't ready, right? What can I do to help? Head into the ruined city of the gods, but I don't recommend going in alone. If you're smart, you'll take 4 others with you to watch your back and flanks. Once you're in there, you'll find the others there too. So that dialogue still says have 5 people. That's not true anymore. Nowadays, it's been converted into a purely soloable instance so we can deal with it. But yeah, so check it out. I mean, when did we last hear of Destiny's Edge? For Terex, it was Logan and Ritlock becoming friendly again at the COF. Obviously, we've seen the other stories. Zodja shouldn't be around, but even the main objective right now says to meet Kaith inside. Oh, look at the loaded screen. That there is an Elder Dragon, guys. So here we are at the end. We are going to be meeting Destiny's Edge. Now, one thing I thought might be kind of fun is how the story, you know, has been constantly looping back, referencing old things, bringing things that were original at the start. Well, we got to look back at some of the early trailers, right? And one of my favorites, the second trailer ever for the game, was that one about the 5 races, and it talked about Destiny's Edge and introduced Destiny's Edge to us for the first times. So here with them at the end of the road now, with all of our airships and everything else, I thought it might be really fun for us to look back at that trailer too and, you know, just sit and enjoy the road we've come on. So this is the awesome second trailer for Guild Wars 2, The Races of Tyria. For the first time on the series, because we've only seen it in fragments so far, in full, this is Destiny's Edge before they fight the dragon. Join me for the finale tomorrow.
My name is Logan Thackeray. I'm human, a citizen of the nation of Kryta. I defend Divinity's Reach. Though embattled, we fight for our homes, our gods, and our queen. Nothing can break our spirit.
Your faith is your weakness, human. Name Ridlock Brimstone. Rank Tribune. Duty Vanguard for the Black Citadel. Char bow to no adversary. With the clamor of anvils and the thunder of guns, we rip each day from life's teeth. Our strengths will shake the foundations of the world.
Strength is nothing without wisdom. I am air. I am Lord. In the Great Lodge Holbreck, we listen to the spirits of the wild. Bear, snow leopard, raven, and wolf. We follow their path to glory. If you are bold enough, your legend will live forever.
Guild Wars 2 is a game with 5 races.